Good morning, boys and girls and staff.
Welcome back to Graham for another great day of learning.
And a great day of teaching.
Dear Mr. Harris, I remember the very first day at Graham Elementary. I was very nervous. What would it be like? Will I make friends? I walked into my second grade classroom and found my seat and said goodbye to my dad. I knew nobody there except my grandma, Miss Talmadge, who worked there. When I started to get settled in, a voice came on the intercom. Good morning, boys and girls. For the first time, I stand up to do the pledge here at Graham, and I learned our favorite saying, Go Stars. Then you ended with your final line. This is your principal, Mr. Harris, and I'm glad about it. I'll be coming around shortly to tell everyone good morning. Wow, I get to meet him. You eventually came around, and for the first time, I saw you. You looked like a good principal and in a good mood. I remember that. I remember that I was so happy to hear your voice mostly every day, the days you weren't here. This is my favorite part because I got to meet you for the very first time, and it's a very special memory to me, and I am sad that you're not going to be here anymore. Sincerely, Noah Talmadge in Miss Abel's class.
Mr. Harris is funny.
Awesome.
Great.
Hardworking. Terrific.
I always loved seeing him in the hallways. We talked about what we were doing often, what we did that weekend, and how I would see him across the street at his brother's house. I told him after I found out he was retiring, I saw him in the hallway, and I told him how much I was going to miss him. He told me it wasn't the last time I'd seen him, and I said, how so? And he said, I'll still see you at my brother's house across the street. And I was really happy to know that this wasn't the last time I'd see him. I'll never forget you, Mr. Harris.
I was in the hallway when Mr. Harris was on the phone. He was talking to someone, and I heard him say one thing. Don't say it's for him, say it's for Graham. And that showed me that he was loyal to the school and would do anything to help it.
When Mr. Harris stole Austin's lemon heads, he took a handful and then set the box down and then at his desk, and then everyone wanted some after. It was funny, it was very funny. Mr. Harris creates relationships with his students and sometimes jokes around and messes with them for fun, and that's why I think he's an incredible principal and person.
Mr. Harris is a leader.
Hopeful.
Bozzy.
Caring. Wise.
Dear Mr. Harris, my favorite memory was when I was in kindergarten and I was leader of the week. On Friday, you came to the classroom and handed me my certificate. I was so nervous as I walked to the front of the classroom. I scrunched up my face into a pout for no reason. I stood next to you. You seemed like a giant as you loomed over itty-bitty me. I wanted to be as tall as you one day. Probably not in a million years, I thought to myself. You read my certificate out loud to the entire class. On this day, Bliss has successfully completed being leader of the week in Miss Larson's kindergarten class. Your voice sounded so loud like a giant's, but the nice kind, of course. You bent down to hand me their certificate and shook my hand. I shook your giant hand as you shook my tiny hand. I felt like I was shaking the hand of the president or something. The entire class clapped as I headed back to my seat. I felt so special that my face was actually glowing. It was my favorite memory because it made me feel special, and I went to bed with a smile on my face.
Mr. Harris is amazing.
Legit. Outstanding.
Heartwarming.
Supportive.
My favorite memory is when Mr. Harris, my stepdad, Mr. Lee, and Mr. William were talking about why I was a fan of the Boston Celtics in the office. And I was saying that Boston could beat any team. I like that memory because it was a time where I learned that you liked basketball. Another thing is that you always say if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that has helped me when I get really mad and when I know I'm about to say something that I will soon take back. And the last thing is that you have been such a nice, loving, caring, and helpful principal at Graham for all my 6 years. And I thank you for that. And I will never forget about all the things you have done over the years for us students and teachers.
My favorite memory I was in class. We were talking about spaces in houses. And Mr. Lee brought up how big bathrooms and how many bathrooms can be in a house. I said, I only have one bathroom in my house. Mr. Harris said to me that he had lots of bathrooms in his house and each were like big. So he said reason why, because he worked hard and he finished school. And he was like, if you work hard and finish school, you can succeed in life. And he taught me something that day.
Mr. Harris is happy,
Strong.
Amazing.
confident,
Loving.
My favorite memory of my uncle is the time after I got baptized. Him and my auntie drove me down to the lodge for the dinner. And the surprise present they got me was an Easy Reader's Bible, because at the time I didn't know how to read very well. They got me the Easy Reader's Bible so I would know a lot about God, Jesus, and heaven, and other religious meanings in the Bible.
I remember when I was in lunch and I told Mr. Harris, I'm way better than you at basketball. He said, come to my office. And he showed me his college report when he scored a high point game of 30 plus points. I told him that we were going to 1v1 soon. I'm going to beat him, by the way.
Mr. Harris is cool.
joyful,
Honorable.
serious,
incredible.
It was somewhere around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I asked my mom if we could go to Tim Hortons for Timbits. My mom agreed, and we went to Tim Hortons. I wasn't tired, I was just excited to get Timbits. We finally got there, and there was a little line, but we waited. And when it was finally our turn, I got to pick out the Timbits I wanted. While I was picking them, you walked in with a fancy hat on your head. You told me not to be late. I was a little scared, and my mom let out a little laugh. After my mom drove me to school and I was eating my Timbits, I walked into class and didn't expect anything. After a while, you came in to tell everyone good morning. You told me to come here with your finger as a signal, and you pinched my nose, and thank goodness it didn't hurt. I rushed back to my seat and continued doing my work, acting like nothing happened. And of course I got questions. Did you get in trouble? No, but they never knew the real reason. This is my favorite memory because it was scary, funny, and nerve-wracking because I didn't know what was going on. And I was in 2nd grade, I think.
My favorite memory about Mr. Harris is when he brought me Capri Suns because my auntie passed away.
Him being cool with me being late and always saying it's cool that I'm here, because when I'm not here, he says, I'll be missing y'all.
My favorite memories was Mr. Harris when he gave me and my sister hugs during summer at the barbershop. The second one I had was the time he gave my mom a whole speech because she got pregnant again.
Mr. Harris is outrageous.
Heroic,
Terrific. Loyal. The best.
Dear Miss Harris, at the end of school every day, me and my brother would go to his office because we wanted to. And this one time, he had food on his table and we ate it with him. Another one is one of those Christmas. She came where I live and gave me and my brother bikes. He was always there for me and helped me through my years of elementary school. It would be a pain to go to middle school without him being there every step of the way with me. You're the reason I made it all. Of all the people I respect the most, you take the #1 spot and you stand on top. I always feel at ease with him being here to help me, and he would strive to help everyone else. Sometimes I didn't understand why he did things, but it was because he cared for people more than himself. And now I'll live to little kids to take care on a legend like Miss Harris.
This is your principal,
Mr. Harris, and I'm glad about it.
Mr. Harris. Thank you for being the best principal I ever had.
Mr. Harris, gracias por ser el mejor principal que he tenido.